Well, hey guys, it's the Bruce City Rider coming at you. Got some knife stuff for you today. I wanted to get a Western 49 pattern Bowie knife, and I had been looking at the Bear & Sons Cutlery Gold Rush Bowie and the Cold Steel Wild West Bowie, but those are both about 95 bucks. And then I found what I'm calling the king of the budget buoys, and that's this bad boy, the SZCO Bowie, carbon steel Bowie. This comes in stainless or carbon. I got the carbon model, and it's the classic Western 49 pattern. As you can see, it's got the big clip point, or more accurately, it's called the Texas clip. It's a 10-inch blade. It's got a big brass S-guard, hardwood handle, brass pins. It's got the bird beak here. And believe it or not, this guy is only $22 on Amazon and other places, I'm sure. It's about 3/16 thick, with the classic swedge unsharpened at the top. But anyway, this isn't necessarily a review of this knife. I just wanted to show you what I did to fix one of its glaring issues, and you're going to find this on virtually all of these. And this is a made in Pakistan knife, by the way. The cold steel is made in India, and the Bear & Sons is American made, but those two are $95. So the issue is this S-guard is just, it's slid on and kept in place by the handles, and being that this is wood, they will tend to shrink, and then your guard loosens up. Now this won't affect its capabilities or use at all. It's just irritating because it rattles. So anyway, I'm going to take you down to the BCR basement workshop, and I'm going to show you what I did to address that. And then we'll come on back out here, and I'll give it a little bit of hard use, and we'll see if the fix worked. So see you back out here. All right, like I was saying, there's a pretty good gap between the brass guard and the carbon steel blade. That's what we're going to try to fill up here to get rid of that rattle. So I'm going to take some painter's tape, tape off the blade and the guard, exposing just enough of the gap where I can force some product down. Now, as you saw, I'm using RTV adhesive. I just happen to have some, and that's a good product for this project. RTV just means room temperature vulcanization, which means it starts to cure as soon as it's exposed to air. You could also use E6000, which is a real good adhesive, and you could even use JB Weld, their clear weld variant. First of all, you want it to be clear, and then secondly, you want it to be waterproof and durable and flexible, and it's got to resist water, weather, and vibration. So I'm not necessarily interested in attaching the guard to the blade. That's not what we're doing here. We're just trying to take away the rattle. So as you see here, I'm pushing the product forward rather than pulling it, because that way it's forcing it down into the opening. and I'm making several passes. I'm not worried about any excess material because it's just going to get stopped by the painter's tape, which we're going to then peel off, of course. So I put four or five beads on each side, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to pull off the tape, pull it up and away to make as little mess as possible. There's always going to be a little bit you're going to want to wipe off, but with the RTV silicone adhesive, you can easily wipe it off if you do it right away. So I got a little bit on the back side, which you can't really see. Sorry, my furnace just kicked in. And just a slight little amount on the front side here. Okay, we're back outside. I let this thing cure for 24 hours or so, and as I think you can see, while it is somewhat flexible, which is one of the actually things I was looking for, I didn't want to have a real rigid connection. So I'm moving it back and forth there, and there's no rattling whatsoever. Now we'll see if it'll hold up. I'm going to do some chopping on this piece of silver maple here. And if you didn't know it, silver maple is the hardest freaking wood you're ever going to find. At least that's been my experience. It came off of this tree over here. This guy right here. All right, let me make sure you're lined up and then we'll get to chopping. Okay, here we go. SZCO Bowie versus silver maple. Oh yeah, look at those chunks coming off. Whoop. Let's check the edge. No marks, no folding. Like I said, this is the carbon steel model. Carbon steel is, well, this is actually a mystery carbon steel. They don't say exactly what it is. I'm gonna guess it's 1075, could be 1050. We'll do a little more. I'm gonna do some with my glove off. to get the feel for that. Nice. All right, now I'm going to find a stump to do some hard downward throws into. Ooh, she's got a good bite. All right, let's see how we're doing here. No rattle. I'm happy with that. You know what? I'm going to add just a little bit more on the end here. I didn't go all the way to the end. I just covered the opening of where the tang goes into the ricasso. So I got some movement, but no rattle. That was my goal. All right. Thanks for watching. That's a job done, and we'll catch you on the next one. BCR signing out. Later, guys. And if you're going to get one of these, make sure you know how to pronounce it. You hear more than half the people out there calling this a Bowie knife. Probably because they've heard the name David Bowie so often, rock icon. And little fun fact for you, David Bowie's real name is David Jones, and he wanted to change his name so as not to be confused with Davy Jones of the Monkees. So he apparently was a big fan of Jim Bowie, believe it or not. He was considered a Texas rebel, and David Jones liked that, and he thought, I'm going to name myself David Bowie. And he was forever known as David Bowie. But the correct pronunciation of Jim Bowie's name is, as I just said, Bowie. It's a Scottish-Irish surname, and it's pronounced Bowie. People down south know how to pronounce it properly, but a lot of other people don't. So anyway, a little fun fact for you. So even though this bears his name, this isn't necessarily the knife that Jim Bowie actually carried. He was famous for the sandbar fight near Natchez, Louisiana. You can look that up. It's a very interesting story. And in that fight, he carried a large, basically like a butcher's knife, and he was able to wield it very successfully in that fight as well as some others. So the newspapers picked up the story and became a famous thing, and everybody wanted to get their hands on the knife that Jim Bowie had. So basically any large 9 to 12 inch knife was from then on considered a Bowie knife. This particular shape with the clip point, this actually existed before Jim Bowie. But today This is considered the classic Bowie knife. It just kind of evolved over time to become this. This is the Bowie knife. Even though historically, as I said, it was a large, thick butcher's knife with no guard. Didn't have any guard. Anyway, it's a very interesting story. I recommend you look it up, do some reading about it if you're into knives at all anyway, or Jim Bowie.